Good morning. You saw that pretty sunrise pic I put up front there. Pooch is driving in. Hadn't seen a lot of damage around our parts, but woo-wee, a lot of standing water. As much rain as we've had here lately, the ground is soaked, the creeks are full, and the floods have got nowhere to go. Golly. But it's Friday morning, and that's a good thing. Pooch is headed off to Mansfield, Texas this morning. I got to go over there and check in, do my normal routine stuff at the facility. Kind of hadn't been there much this week due to other things happening in other locations, but Pooch is on his way in and he's ready to get this Friday morning started and get this Friday over with so the weekend can begin. Yes, sir. As you can tell, Pooch is driving straight into that sunrise this morning. Boy, and that stuff will blind you most of the time because the route I take takes you straight down the center. Man, but everything around here is looking okay so far. I hadn't seen much as far as damage. I think we kind of lucky yesterday evening, but it definitely packed a punch in some areas. I'm grateful because out there where we're at, it's wide open and there ain't no telling what's going to blow in. But we usually get the brunt of it, and tell you that. One of the joys of traveling the route that I go and need to go is after heavy storms and rains, it always seems to knock out some traffic lights. And when that happens, it causes a gosh awful backup. Now, I don't understand it. I don't know why they can't fix it, but it's a given. But I understand it because I have a couple things that happen at one of my facilities in particular, that when it rains, it always seems to shut down the phone line. And it's an analog phone line. And its sole purpose is to monitor the elevators for your emergency calls in the elevator cab. And it also monitors the fire alarm system that sends signals to the monitoring company when and if a fire alarm, supervisory, or whatever is tripped. Never fails. I've had those folks out there, I don't know how many times, to try to figure it out and why it only happens when it rains. I'm sure water's getting somewhere underground, but I could put a work order in with AT&T to come out and try to investigate it. And of course, every time they show up, there's nothing wrong, because it does reset itself after a certain amount of time. After it gets wet, it goes offline. But it's the most harassing and annoying thing, because I get alarms and alerts for all of that stuff. Power outages, HVAC issues, emergency power issues. I get alarms for it. Fire alarm issues. So my phone is constantly sending me alerts and notifications. And that's one thing that annoys the crap out of me. To go along with all emails and team chats and whatnot, Have I said before that I cannot wait to retire from this type of job? Because not only will I lose that phone, I'm probably going to ditch my own personal phone because I don't talk on it much anyway. Some of y'all can attest to. Ain't having no phone at all. Just thought y'all'd like to know that. Another question that seems to boggle me. We're sitting in this traffic jam, and there's a reason for it. But what gets me is, why is it that people think they're going to go around and get anywhere faster by going up to where I'm currently sitting, making a little loop, turning on a road that goes nowhere, that goes around the backside of a gas station, and then comes back around to try to get in line to the same line we're waiting in already. Don't they realize that that's only compounding the problem? But they're in such a fired up hurry to get somewhere. It just doesn't make any sense. None at all. So if anybody's got any answers to that one, fill me in. Well, it's taken me 45 minutes to go 3/4 of a mile. But it's not gonna ruin my day, that's for sure. Only thing it's gonna do is make it shorter. Well, finally, Pooch broke out the gate. And that about mile, which I'm grateful for where I was, but that mile or more back up that took me 45 minutes to get through was all because of a outage at a traffic light, flashing red. And of all places for it to be flashing red, which is typical, and where I'm at currently, I'm liable to run into another one that's usually typical of happening. But 35W, Interstate 35W, and a major exit, 1187. Good Lord. But if Pooch has hit the back roads now, I've hit the back roads, and I'm cutting across over to Mansfield, Texas. I almost stopped at my Burleson location just so I could go get a cup of coffee. But, you know, once I broke through that gate, Pooch is making a beeline to Mansfield. Not only will he most likely work out most of his day there, but to get that cup of coffee. And then we're going to call it. We're going to call it the weekend. Which that don't mean much. There's always something that can come up and disrupt, interrupt, and cause Pooch to have to go to work. But I'm hoping not. Anyway, let's get on down the road. Yes, sir. Well, folks, we finally made it. Pooch made it to his destination. Pooch got his cup of coffee. Now Pooch is going to get out there and do a little inspecting and do some rounds to make sure everything's up and running. After the storms that came through, usually something goes haywire. But the best part is Pooch got here and he's underway. And of course he's got his coffee. I appreciate you folks riding along with me this morning and enduring some of the questions that I had to pose. But it is Friday. We're getting ready for the weekend. And I hope you folks have a good day and a good weekend. And Pooch will see you soon. So y'all have a good one out there. And remember, everybody needs a friend named Pooch. And they call me Pooch. Yes, sir. Yeah, much better. Yes, sir.